registered, and I'm sure they'll start trickling in, and you said yes to be here today. Give yourself a huge round of applause for being here today. Now, if you look around the room, you will see some people with gray shirts on with purple leader across the chest. Each of those have been working behind the scenes this summer to make your sessions awesome. They have also been teaming up with these 4 leaders, working to make sure that everything is just right. You have Letitia, Greta, Andrew, and Stacy. Give them a round of applause for making the day happen. Now, you will see purple balloons. You see everything purple. Kentucky Go Digital, if you are new to Kentucky Go Digital, which a lot of you are, the purple comes from inspiration from Seth Godin in his book, Purple Cow. Everything that he talks about is being remarkable, standing out. If you go by a field of cows and you were to see a purple one, I think you would stop. You would say, wow. And that's what we want in Kentucky Go Digital, for each of you as educators to feel like you can be remarkable. Stand out. Make people say, hey, I want to be like them. I want to do everything I can to make my students the best. So when you see purple, and when you are called a purple cow, so all of these people wearing these shirts, if I call them a purple cow, don't think they should be taking that offensive. It's a compliment. And each of you are a purple cow for being here today. We like to rock. You heard the music. We like rock music. We like to dress comfortably. We want you to be comfortable. Because when you are having fun, guess who else is having fun? Your students. So we love a laid-back atmosphere, but we also like to stay connected to the Kentucky Go Digital vision. And with our mission, we have 3 things that we want you to focus on: creating, connecting, and sharing. And you are being very active in one of those today. You are connecting. And that is the mission of Kentucky Go Digital, to help you connect with others that are creating, so you can connect with others and then you can share. One way to share is being here today. We are the 4th stop across the state on Kentucky Go Digital tour, here in Eastern Kentucky at Morehead State. You being here, this is one way you can connect. Another way is when you leave here, if you hear something in a session and you think you might need to know a little bit more, if you go to KYGoDigital.com, there are tons of videos to help support what you may learn, and we call it the power of pause. When you're in your PJs at home and you need to listen to something 2 or 3 times, you have that support. And then the 3rd way to connect is through Twitter. Now, when you registered, most of you do not have Twitter. I encourage you today to get a Twitter account. It is the best professional learning you can get, and you get to connect with all of the people that are in the gray shirts with the leader, along with everyone else. I would love it if today you will send a tweet, hashtag KYGoDigital, and share something that you learned in one of your sessions with someone else across the state and across the nation. When you're in your sessions and you tag Kentucky Go Digital, we'll be having it on a tweet deck around at lunchtime when you come back, and you can see a lot of those tweets too. Now, the purpose is not because we want you on social media just to be on there. It's to tear down a silo. When I was in the classroom, I had a really nice filing cabinet. I had really nice file folders. They may or may not have been color-coded. And I had a ton of awesomeness, I thought, in that filing cabinet. Down the hallway, they had tons of awesomeness in their filing cabinet. Who saw my filing cabinet? No one except me. I didn't see their filing cabinet. I was in a silo, and I closed my door. What we want to do in Kentucky Go Digital is to use digital tools to share all of our ideas, strategies, all of the ways that we engage students, so that we are not in a silo anymore. We want you to tear down your silo, go beyond your classroom, go beyond your school, go beyond your district, and share across the state. You, us, we are in it together. Tear down those silos. Because at the end of the day, it's all about students. We're not competing against each other. We're trying to together work together to make our kids better. Now, who loves STLP? Where's Mike Bell? Yeah. Mike Bell's in here, so is everyone else, my STLP people, Neil Arnett. We love STLP, but guess what, guys? It's 2018. Even your students that are not in STLP, guess what they want? They want technology engaging lessons. They want tech-embedded lessons. They want critical thinking. They want hands-on activities every day in your classroom. STLP is not just a club. STLP is 2018 classrooms. And the best part about it is you are here today with the KYGoDigital mission to connect. And you can connect those ideas even if you think I can't do it. Yes, you can, because someone beside you can, and they're going to share their idea, and you're going to take it back to your classroom. So without further ado, I am so excited. I am just as excited with the sessions as I am about our keynote speaker.
Can I interrupt you before you get started?
I don't know if you all know Greta Casto, but she was the president of KISTI, so she can interrupt me anytime she wants. This wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned, but she did not introduce herself. Her name is Courtney DeRosset. She is the CIO at Floyd County Schools, right? Did I say it right? Yeah. And she has killed herself on this, and I would love for you all to show your appreciation.
Thank you. You all are awesome. But the next lady I'm about to bring up, she is a lead learner. Her title is principal, but in her heart, she's a teacher always. She is a main motivator, and she won't mind me calling her this, but she is an original Purple Cow. Please put your hands together and welcome Miss Alison Gregory.
Good morning, Eastern Kentucky. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, really? Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, I drove, I made my teachers come with me too. I didn't make them. They wanted to. Isn't that awesome? But yes, I'm Alison Gregory. I am lead learner in far western Kentucky. We drove over 5 hours to get here yesterday. Yeah, thanks. I really wanted to be with you guys. I'm missing my first admin retreat meeting down in Graves County. So, yes, you need to connect and tweet so they don't think I'm at the pool laying out, even though you couldn't do that here. It's pretty rainy. All right, so, hey, I need that clicker. I see the clicker. Clickers make me happy. All right, so listen, number one, I will ruffle feathers in the next 20 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and lay that out there because I keep it real with anybody I talk to, anybody I sit with or work with, because that's our job, to question what we do all of the time. Bottom line. If we do things the same way that we did them 20, 50 years ago, what is going to happen to education? This is where you kind of talk, yes, thanks, Elaine. This is where that goes. So in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to challenge you to think differently and do differently, because our kids are different than they used to be. And we have to think differently and connect. So I will never, ever apologize for my energy. I will never apologize for being passionate about kids. And I'm not just passionate about my kids at Simpsonia. I'm passionate about kids all over the U.S., which is why I drove 5 hours to be here today, because it's important. And so this quote, students will not be energized, thrilled, and empowered by learning until educators are. Bottom line. And so we have a lot of PDs where we come in, and I feel like I'm at church right now. I'm just going to throw that out there, because this is Baptist right here. Backroom Baptist, and I know some of y'all are there, right? You're like, I am sitting back here, maybe she will not call on me. Or I'm checking my email. I'm getting caught up today, okay? But we have to be excited about the fact that we're constantly learning and that we want to learn. Because the moment that stops, the energy in your room, the energy in your life, your professional life, it will stop. So today, in the next 20 minutes, we're going to talk about continuing that energy and how to go forward. Because to my knowledge, this is the first KYGoDigital in Eastern Kentucky. Is that correct? Yeah, that's pretty awesome. People are clapping just because they're supposed to. It's that pause. It's that presenter pause. Like, oh, I'm supposed to clap. Okay. So what we're looking up here. I want you to turn to your neighbor. Hey, guess what? This will not be a sit and get keynote. I will never run a meeting sit and get because I do not want classrooms to be sit and get. So you're going to turn to your neighbor right now, and I want to know what all of these things up here have in common. What do all of these things right here have in common? Ready, go. Some of y'all were like, I was good until Google. Those are definitely things that we fear, right? Some of us fear snakes. That would be me. Some of us here fear the fact that technology is integrating into our classrooms and schools, and we feel like we're not ready. And I hear this a lot, and we'll talk about this. Technology, it's just not my thing. You know, I got to hear Adam Welcome talk in Murray. And he talked about the fact that we cannot teach cell phone kids using landline strategies. Thank you. I love it already. Yes, I got my first amen. So it's the truth, though, if you sit and think about it. And so I want you today to not beat yourself up, but think of what are some landline strategies that I can change to better reach my kids. All right, so as we go through today, we're going to talk about how we overcome the fear. All right, the fear of technology, the fear of change, because it's there. All right, and so the first thing we're going to do is learn how friends can help us overcome. And so we're going to have motions with our word today. And why would we have motions? Thanks, Dana. That was planted. To help you remember, should you do that with your kids? Yes, okay? So we're going to have friends. And so everybody, you're going to take your hands. I'm used to a wireless, but you're going to take your hands and you're going to make it this. Friends. You need friends. All right? And then we're going to get rid of excuses because we're full of them. And I don't stand up here today and say that I'm a perfect leader, I'm a perfect teacher. I'm definitely not a perfect person because I give myself an excuse every day of why I don't need to run. Probably need to get over that, okay? So here's your excuses. Now we're going to get rid of excuses. I'm going to need you to be a little more enthusiastic than this. Thank you. All right, and some of y'all still aren't doing any motion. I will transform you in the next 20 minutes. All right, and then I need our hashtag at Simpsonia is Riders All In. You have to be all in for kids, and that does not mean she's expecting me to work 17 hours a day. You know, it might be her life, but it's not mine. Okay? No, I want you all in when you're in there with those kiddos, with your teachers if you're a principal, with your principals if you're a superintendent, because at the end of the day, we have to model what we want to see. So if you're a superintendent, and what that means for your principals leading schools. All right? So with all in, this is exactly, now listen, I had an embarrassing moment a year ago when I keynoted in Murray. I'm a sweater. I'm just going to throw it out there. I sweat like a man, and it was like this, and it was showing for an hour while I was doing that, okay? So I chose my clothes wisely today. All right, so all in, you're going to do Saturday Night Live. Yes, that was awesome. Okay, so we got to be all in. And then the last thing is we've got to recognize. Because see, we also live in a culture too where we don't want to recognize each other because that might give me a little too much attention, or she might think that I'm friends with the principal, or they might call me a brown noser. Isn't that funny that like I'm 40 and that still goes on when it started when I was about 8 years old? Let's get over that and recognize what we're doing in schools and when people are doing things well, because that keeps you going. So we're going to go through that today. So starting with friends, let me see. Hold on. Recognize. Look, they're like, I wrote that down. She didn't give us a signal for recognize. So recognize is like this. All right, so we recognize that superstar behavior. All right, so first one is friends. These are some of my friends. And when she was talking about, I love you guys already. Show me the motion for friends. Find your friends. If you're writing notes, if you're writing on a notepad, find your friends. Because some of you have friends right now that are holding you back. Some of you have friends that when you kind of want to try something new, they're that one that says, are you sure? Because what we're doing works. That's an enemy, guys. What we're doing works, because I come from a very high-performing school, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm super proud of my teachers and kids for that. But we are constantly questioning what we are doing. Because what works last year may not work next year. And one thing I do know about Eastern Kentucky is 2 years ago, I brought teachers 6.5 hours to Floyd County schools to see what those schools were doing. To find friends across the state, and I didn't care how many hours because they were getting things done. But at the end of the day, you've got to continue to question what you're doing and find those friends who help you change the status quo. Because that's really what fear is. We want to stay in a status quo mentality because it works, and why change it, and I'm comfortable. Right? And nobody likes to be uncomfortable all the time. And I'm not saying that you have to be that way, but you need the friends that will support you when you want to try new things. And I know we've all read the books and we've all heard people talk about, the workroom, the lunchroom. It is a cesspool of negativity. Or it can be. So you check yourself because you become who you are around at the end of the day. So up here on this screen too, when we talk about making connections in Twitter, and I've got a lot of people always that will say, I don't do Twitter. I don't do Twitter for personal reasons either. I don't care what Justin Timberlake's doing. I could care less. And so that's the viewpoint of a lot of adults in schools, is that's what Twitter is, because that's how our kids use it. But that's not how we use it. You make connections with people like Adam Welcome, with people like Ron Clark. And it closes those barriers and opens up your opportunities. I have phone conversations on a monthly basis with Adam Welcome. And if you don't know who he is the author of Kids Deserve It. Write it down and read that book before school starts. Awesome book, awesome author. And 10 years ago, I would have died if Todd Whitaker would have retweeted or sent something to me. And now we talk all the time. That's the power of Twitter and making connections. The fact that Courtney DeRossett and I talk on a daily basis, and she's 6 hours across the state. When I say talk, no, I don't pick up the phone, but we're tweeting all the time about the great things going on. So find your friends, and they don't have to be your team teacher. Because, see, that's going to be an excuse. I want to do it, but my team teacher doesn't. Let me see the sign for excuse. Wake up back there. Yeah, I want to do it, but my principal, he's not taggy. She doesn't do it. And so we push that excuse on other people. We've always done it that way, right? This is how we've always done it. It works. The excuse of, I can't stand this one too. My kids can't do that. You're going to go to sessions today, and they're going to be on Google Classroom and all these innovative things, and you're going to say, my kid's 5 years old in kindergarten, they can't do that. And I'm going to brag for just a moment on a teacher I brought from kindergarten. 5 years old, they're on Google Classroom. They're manipulating Google Docs. They're on Google Slides, and they're 5 years old. Don't tell me kids can't do it. Do not. They have grown up with technology in their hands. And with that said, though, please know, technology will never replace who? The teacher. It is always a balanced approach. So don't leave here and say, Alison Gregory says, my kids should have technology all the time, every day. So, what do I do? Right? It will not replace you in the classroom. It's a balanced approach. But if we don't teach them how to use it, then we're not teaching them for the world that they're going to live in 10 years. And I'm not okay with that, because I have a 12 and a 13-year-old that need to be successful. Right? And we don't even really know what jobs we're preparing them for. You all have done the research. You realize that. So they've got to learn to network. They've got to learn how to work together. They've got to learn how Google Docs helps you with productivity. We've got to move over. You've got to make that jump. And the other excuse of, this won't work at elementary, this won't work at middle school. You don't know middle schoolers. I've been so blessed in my life to work at all three levels. I started as a high school teacher, became a curriculum supervisor, then for the high school, then went to middle school assistant principal and elementary principal. It works at every level. Every level. Innovation. Kids want innovation. It's like Courtney talked about, right? So get rid of the excuses. And part of getting rid of the excuses is acknowledging them when you give them, right? And saying, okay, it might be a little tough to implement, but I'm going to try. The effort is there in trying. And do you know what that's called? It's called growth mindset. It's called grit. And I want my kids at my school to see me fail. And why is that important? Because sometimes our kids don't know how to fail, and sometimes our best teachers don't know how to fail. We want to be perfect. We want to be exemplary in every part of Charlotte Danielson's domain, right? The reality is you're not going to be there all the time. It's about growth. So we've got to start with choosing our friends and connecting on Twitter. Let me see it. Friends, find your friends. Say it. Friends. Get rid of your excuses. Yes. Hey, don't be embarrassed to participate today. Because you know what? Some of y'all are the first teachers to be like, they just won't do the motions in my class. Right? You've got to do it. You've got to think it's important. I'm already ruffling feathers. All right. I want you to watch this. This is sometimes how we feel with technology. This dog completely is out of control. Okay, I don't know if you know that or if you've watched that. I'm sorry if I'm in your way over here. Completely out of control. Will not follow anything the leader is telling him to do. Oh, I would like to go through that twice. Okay. Whoa! Yes, I just tried that. I just tried Google Docs for the first time. I'm going over, I need to go talk to my friends about something. What do you think about this? I'm going to try this. So, okay, I'm going to come back out. And maybe I'm done now. Let me say hi to everybody. This is the reality, and this is what I want you to realize when you go back to your classrooms, that it can be messy. Look at this. Bam! That's how some of you are going to feel when you start to use some of these tools. And then sometimes you're going to be like, yes! I've made it, right? The point is that if you're going to do it. Go all in. And you know, they set that up for the dogs to run through. I'm not real familiar with all that, but he was supposed to go in a certain order. He's supposed to go. And in reality, you don't have to anymore. You get to create, you get to connect, you get to share in whatever order you want to do it in. My job as a leader is to provide you those tools and say, if Google Docs works for you, I want you to use it. If Twitter's your thing, use it. Okay? If Flipgrid's something you want to try, use it. And guess what? The first time you use something with your kids, we might look like that dog. Like we thought we were going to hurdle it, and we fell where? Face first. And that's why I tell my teachers, fail forward, because that's the best thing kids need to see. They need to see us try it and try it again. But what happens when we go face forward a lot of times with new initiatives? Stop. That didn't go like the company said it did, or that didn't go like Ms. G said it was going to go. And so we stop. And that's where we get frustrated with education. We're constantly changing. What's the new curriculum now? And you know what I tell my teachers? I don't care what curriculum's out there. In fact, we don't use any at my school except for the standards. Because I want to see good teaching. Right? Just teach. Get in there and teach. And fail forward and try things. So this is my goal for you today, is to get in there, get rid of your excuses, and be... No, that pretty much sucked, and I'm just going to throw that out there, okay? Get rid of your excuses. Look at her. She's back there like, oh my gosh, did she just say that? Yes, I did, okay? Because I keep it real. So we're going to get rid of excuses, and we're going to do what?
All in.
Be all in. I will not apologize for just saying that, because I keep it real for you guys. I keep it real for my teachers. If something's not good, I tell you. See, we coddle kids. We coddle teachers. And we coddle principals, etc. I'm all about a little bit of grit. My kids, it should have been their middle name, my two children. But grit is where it's at. We have to keep it real with kids too, and teachers, with each other. And that's what goes back to your friends. Choose your friends wisely. If my friends and my leadership team at school, if my teachers, and that's who came with me today, if my teachers look at me all the time and say, that's fabulous, you're so great, I loved that learning session, are we ever going to get better? No, my teachers keep it real with me too. Like, that's not what we need, Miss Gregory. That's not. We need to do this. It's those real conversations, get rid of excuses and being all in for one another. Because at the end of the day, it's like Courtney said, it's about kids. It's not about me or my learning session or the adults in my building. And listen, we are not all going to die. You know, sometimes when things come down the pipe, it's like, if I put technology in my kids' hands, I will lose what? Control. What if they get on a site they're not supposed to? They will. Thank you. I love you already, Greta. We're like this. They're going to. And you just deal with it as it comes. A lot of that's front loading too. What if they get off task a little bit? How many of you have been off task in the past 5 minutes? See, that's where I always get people, yeah, man, I had to get some stuff done. It's a reality, people. But if we're creating engaging lessons, engaging units, engaging classrooms, our kids aren't going to want to multitask. So because 3 people raised their hands 30 seconds ago, I need to go back and work on my keynotes. Right? All right, so get rid of your excuses. Be all in. And then the last one is recognize. And so, yes, thank you. What are we going to do? We're going to recognize each other. We're going to recognize the purple cows. And this one is hard for me. Because when I stepped out and started doing things like this and started leading and wanting my school to be different, guess what happened to me with a lot of principals? Thank you. I was left out. What is she doing? A learning session? Really? We just have meetings, faculty meetings. That's what we call them. And I started having teachers present, and we started traveling all over Kentucky for no pay and presenting. And I'll never forget it, even this year, and I'm 6-7 years into this, and I had a principal look at me, and instead of, I can't remember where I was going or what I was doing or who I was talking to, because that's my mission. I want to grow passionate educators. He looked at me and said, "Do you sleep?" And you know what? He wanted to make me feel bad about being all in. And it really made me angry. Instead of recognizing the fact that I was going outside of Graves County, outside of Simpson Elementary, and trying to grow purple cows, I was made to feel bad about that. But you know what? That's what we do to teachers when they go above and beyond. Mm-hmm. If we keep it real, that's what we do to our coworkers when they want to do a little more. And that is wrong. We have got to grow more purple cows. And you know what's great about purple cows? All the spots are different. Like, your strength may not be my strength, but I can team with you and we can make a fabulous school. At my school now, every teacher's a leader in something with kids, and it's whatever your passion is. So we all lead something, but it's within your passion, and we celebrate that. And I want you today, because some of you are, when I said the S word and things like that today, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, we just have to keep it real with one another and recognize when we see that behavior. So I want to ask you right now, what do you do in your school to recognize people who go above and beyond? What do you do in your classroom to recognize kids who are doing things right? What do we do in our schools? And that's a big piece of Kids Deserve It, that book I told you to read. It's about celebrating kids. Because we can't celebrate our kids in our classrooms until we start to celebrate what? Ourselves. And I know today's a technology conference. It's about KYGoDigital. But if we don't continue to recognize and celebrate one another, this is just going to be a 6-hour PD for you. Does that make sense? If we don't really look at fear and find our friends, let me see your motion, find your friends. If we don't really look and start to question all of our excuses, if we just say, that was nice. I liked her new shoes. I did buy these shoes for today. All right? And we're not all in. And we don't start to recognize this all for Neil. And that's my fear. That's why I traveled 5 hours, because my fear is all this initiative fatigue. Right? We have it. Curriculum fatigue, or what's coming around the path. And that gets on my nerves too, you know. You know, I tell my teachers, what's coming around the path is good teaching. Let's continue to see that. What's coming around the path is how are you engaging kids? And you know, it doesn't have to be technology 24/7. And don't leave this thinking that. It's a balanced approach. But I'm telling you, my life changed with Google Apps. I became more productive. I became less tired. I created connections with people statewide that I don't work as hard as I used to. Don't tell my boss. I don't work as much. Who doesn't want to work as much as they used to? Oh, you all want to work really hard? Okay. Well, because I have a connection with Courtney, because Elaine is here and she's in McCracken County, and Mimi in Louisville, I mean, all of these people I have connections with, they make my job easier. Hey, do you have something for this? And they send me the Google Doc, and I can change it, I can copy it, I can do what I need to with it. Right? And recognize that behavior on Twitter, because see, a lot of people, that's how we're recognizing today, giving shout outs on Twitter. And a lot of people will go, I don't really want to do that. People might think I actually like her. Right? When you hear good things, when you see great things, at Simpsonia, we box it out, we tweet it out. I want the world to know that education, public education, is okay. We are fine. We are doing great things for kids. Y'all should be clapping a whole lot more than that, because we are the future. Public education is where it's at, but we are not recognizing that. The only time we got loud this year was when it was absolutely, and I'm okay with that, but we should be loud all the time because our kids matter. Kentucky is at the forefront, but we are not speaking up about it. Be proud of what you're doing in your classroom. Principals, be proud of what you're doing in your school. I will never apologize for the PR that I do for my school. Recognize purple cows, because there's all these, and if you've ever heard Heather Royal talk, it's called FOMs in your life, forces of mediocrity. And you know, they're in your school. They're like the person that was talking to me in that meeting that was trying to make me feel bad, because that makes them feel better. Ignore the forces of mediocrity in your school. And maybe, just maybe, that's your principal. And you'll say, well, I can't do all this stuff because my principal doesn't support me. We all know you can still do these things in your schools, in your classroom, but you've got to find your friends. So find friends today. Connect with those friends. Tweet those out on KYGoDigital hashtag. And let's make a change for our kids, because kids matter. We're going to face the fear. We're going to say no to status quo, right? You all are asleep. And you'll be able to create a system like this. See, this is my system at my school. This is what we do. A million things here, right? Some have gone off the page, some have gone on the page, but it takes many different tools to be successful. And collaboration is at the center of our school. You have to collaborate to be a purple cow.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same, as we are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others.
So do not shrink to make others feel better. I refuse to shrink. I refuse to quit talking just because I may not be the cool one at the principal meetings. Does that make sense? Don't be quiet. Do it for your kids. And I'm not saying you have to wear a banner of KYGoDigital every day to school. Find your thing. Find your talent. Find whatever it is and live it, and don't be afraid to be the purple cow. All right? I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Thanks for letting me be here with you guys.
Let's maybe some Alison, Gregory. Gregory this morning, right?
Get involved with Kentucky Go Digital. Attend regional events, like us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel